Welcome to the Small Town Creepy Podcast. I'm Dex, your guide to all things horror media, and tonight we have the pleasure of talking to Hilton Ariel Ruiz about his movies Zombie with a Shotgun and Zombie with a Shotgun 2. I am so stoked about this conversation because Zombie with a Shotgun, which you can watch on Tubi for free, is one of the most unique zombie films I have ever had the honor of seeing, and I can't wait for the sequel. So let's get started.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. And my name is Hilton Ariel Ruiz. You could also pronounce it as Hilton Ariel Ruiz. And a lot of people know me from the creator Zombie with a Shotgun. I've done, various projects, documentaries, drama, horror, comedy. I've done all the stuff. And it just happens to be that Zombie with a Shotgun just, took off. So just a little bit of how it started. It started in 2012. A lot of people. So when I talk about the project, a lot of people don't know that it started that long ago. Where in 2012, I did a web series on the very first. And just to let you know that I never really expected the web series or even Zombie Shotgun to get as popular as it is. As time went by. So when we did the very first episode, that first episode went viral and it just went like all over, and I was like, oh boy, what do we do now we have to, like, there's sort of like a responsibility to, like, once that wave comes, and you need to ride on it, you need to catch the wave. So I just kept on going with it, and then slowly we did 5 episodes. We didn't think anything of it, like it would be really, like, get really popular, but as time went by, the social media just kept growing and growing and growing. And it was sort of like amazingly that it just kept on growing. Like, wow, like a lot of the stuff that I had, just never had that so much of popularity of people just following and asking questions. What is this? This is a movie. So we decided to go with a comic book. I linked up with Simone Guglielmini, who's from Italy. He's a really very known artist who works for Image Comics and Titan Comics. And he loved the concept so much, and he was amazing because he was sort of kind of like a mentor to me, where I had no idea about the comic book of how to create it, and he actually took me, like, and showed me, like, the ins and outs of how to create and make a comic book, which was amazing because he's given me so much knowledge now that, like, kind of like I'm on my own. Like, if I need to do a comic book, I know how to do it without having him hold my hand, and I really, like, appreciated that he did that for me. And he's still, like, so supportive. Like, he's drawn all the new, like, comic pinup cover-ups for the new sequel. So as the web series came, then we did the comic. People kept on asking me, hey, what's up with the whole feature film? You should go into feature. And I was like, oh, wow, that might be a lot of work. So we decided, yeah, let's go for it. So we did the feature, and you know how that goes. The whole just campaigning took so long. It took us 3 years to raise money. And we finally got the monies. We did the feature, and it was released. Unfortunately, it was released 3 months before the freaking whole world was shut down, because we were thinking, right, we were planning to go to conventions and horror conventions and comic conventions and just blow the whole IP up. So after COVID, what is it? It was released 2019 in November, I think 28th, and then 3 months, the first week of March, shut down. So fast forward for the beginning of this year, I said to myself, oh man, look, I don't know if we're going to ever go back to it. So slowly but surely this year, I had a lot of people coming back, like producers, and what are you doing, blah, blah, blah. And I shit you now, can I curse on this? Yeah?
No, yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
So I honestly tell you, I had no idea, like just about 2 months and a half ago, maybe 3 months, I get call from producers and everything, say, hey, look, let's do this. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, do it now? It's like, yeah, let's do it. So we just went like in boom, like 0 to 100, like, talking to actors and talking to DPs, talking to makeup artists, talking to everybody. So we said, look, let's get a campaign going on. Let's get the buzz going on. We are looking for, the monies, we're looking for is not going to be, it's not really coming from the campaign because of the actors that we got. So, as you could see, Bill Obrist and Lynn Lowry and Vincent Ward and Monique Dupree and Cadman Toy, and they got Braden Body, and a lot of these actors, just kept on coming along. We're like, oh my God, now we have like a, we have a big cast that we need, that we need to, figure out. So, how to raise the monies and everything. But the support kept on coming and coming, and that's where we are right now. It's just been 3 days in the campaign. Really, it's really slow going the campaign, but there's a lot of interest from production houses and investors. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what's happening in the last 3 days, where it's a lot of people approaching and saying, hey, who's doing this? What's doing this? Do you need this? What do you need? So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah, kind of like told you, like the zombie sort of like train from the first stop to the end, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think I might have went different from your question, but tell me.
No, you're fine. This is great.
Okay. So where are we at now?
So I saw Zombie with a Shotgun a while back. I love that it's available on Tubi. That's my go-to for horror movies anyway. And I loved it because it's a unique take on the zombie story, the zombie virus, the zombie story, all of that. So I want to know, it sounds like a cliche question, but where did this concept come from? Because in the movie, probably a little bit more so than the web series or what I've seen of the web series, is you do a mix of science and magic a little bit in the movie, and I would love to know like where that idea came from. And
yeah, I love that question. I love it. I love the question because there was some sort of element of like science there. And I do get people that talk about it. I'm like, oh man, because it was very like it was probably one of the, I wouldn't say the most important, but it was definitely a key element of the film. So what happened is, when we wanted to go through the web series in 2012, I said to the actor, because he was a really good friend of mine, Braden. I said, hey, look, I want to do my own interpretation of the zombie. I want to like basically have half man, half zombie, like half man, half machine, but half man, half zombie that has all the characteristics of a human, but has the outside of the looks of a zombie. So before that, I actually was working on a project when it was basically sort of based on me living here in New York and how the whole HIV epidemic happened here and how everybody was scared of people, like just because they had attracted to the HIV. A lot of people were ignorant, and and that's not their fault because none of us knew anything about the disease. And it's sort of like a zombie disease, right? Everybody runs away from them, but no one helps them. And I felt like the HIV/AIDS epidemic at the start was sort of like a zombie virus. Like no one didn't help them. They would just stay away from me kind of thing, like run away. And I just felt like, hey, let's put that sort of like story. So I was working actually on another zombie film based on sort of that idea. And it had to do with that whole H1 sort of like virus that was going on. So as years went by, I figured, hey, let's do it. And that was basically the very beginnings of. So when you watch the web series, he's human, and it was supposed, it goes slowly and surely. But we only did 5 episodes, mainly because our main actor moved to LA and he started doing a lot of work. Yeah. And so go back to the feature film. I try to bring that a lot to the film. So one of the things about the Zombie with a Shotgun that a lot of people, once they saw the film, there was a lot of people that were upset about the film. Not everyone's going to like the film, of course. It's just that's how it is. We're very indie film. Everyone, just wants shoot them up, blow them up, killings everywhere. Right. listen, I would have loved to have done that. We just couldn't have. The budget could not really, like,
Right, understandable.
But there was a story. It was always going to be a love story. That was even the web series when you watch it.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to bring that back to the feature and have the story basically more like a love story, but slowly sure about, have him infected by this virus and tell the stories and everything like that. And it wasn't as a lot of people felt. They wanted to see zombies, they wanted to see shoot 'em up, but I said, hey, look, man, it's a different type of zombie film. The science was put in there, and when you watch the film, the rabbits and story with the the witches and everything, there is this element there that you have to like follow, understand what happened between those two things. About everybody was sort of like, I don't want to like give everybody I don't want to spoil anything.
Right.
Even though it's very subtle, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because when you start, when you look at it, like, oh shit, okay, and so going with the sequel, it was I wanted the sequel because there was 3 parts. I already had the 3 parts in my mind. The second one was going to be vampires, and witches, and the third one was going to be taken in Tokyo. I know I'm ahead of its time, but that was always the 3 chapters of Zombie with a Shotgun. And so the second one was, we're going to bring more, the violence in and vampires, but it's still going to be a love story.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I was just saying, you're saying that like people, you had a little bit of backlash because it's not a shoot 'em up movie. That's why I like it. I like that it's the story. I love the relationship between Rachel and I love Rachel. Oh my gosh, between Rachel and Aaron, and that's what kept me going, because there's a ton of zombie shoot 'em up movies. Resident Evil's huge. Night of the Living Dead's huge. All these other zombie movies, huge, but they're all kind of the same movie. Whereas Zombie with a Shotgun is not. It's very different.
You nailed it. So a lot of people were saying silly things like, oh, you can't have zombies talk, you can't have zombies kiss girls, you can't, or women, whatever. I had a lot of stuff, and I'm like, listen, oh, you can't change the mythology of zombies, so I had a lot of those people telling me that, like, oh gosh, whatever. Look, again, you're always going to get backlash with anything that you do, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something really different, and this one, part 2. So as me being whatever you want to call me, different or whatever in the storytelling of zombies, I wanted to go more different. So the second chapter was going to be vampires, and the vampires definitely love blood, and they want to know why Mr. Aaron has a unique blood type of zombies that is able to be unique compared to other zombies. So, and there is, like, again, there's this whole element of there's a whole story between the leader of the elder vampires and Braden. I don't want to give too much of the story, but there is a big storyline here, and it's not a shoot 'em up, kill 'em. Even though you're gonna have it, it's a big story, and it's a very it's a very different take on any zombie genre, and I'm dying for it to be done, because this sequel is really going to show it. Because you're going to have this zombie really going to, he's going to be able to communicate, be able to talk, and talk like having the characteristics of a human being, and have this other vampire there. But and like, again, it went away from part 1, the story, because a lot of people is going to say, what happened? Where? So my whole story taking was like, I felt that part 1 was, I'm not inventing the wheel here. No one's really inventing the wheel in storytelling. But it still kind of had the same sort of generic, like, oh, the virus and this and that. And I said to myself, okay, again, let's go with it different. If I do a second one and we continue that storyline of like, where is the blood? We need to find out where's, the military and everything. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go in the second one and basically do, like you said, the same story about the military and about, how we're gonna hold this. Even though there was no zombie apocalypse, because there is not. Even in part two, there's no such thing as a zombie apocalypse. There's
I
no such
love
thing
that.
as zombies going anywhere. We're living in a real world, and there's some people. There's a vampire world, and there's a zombie world, but everyone lives together. There's no such thing as that. And they explain it also in the sequel. It talks about it that there's no zombie apocalypse at all.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the second one, I said again, I don't want to. I love, as much as I would love to continue the. Sorry, my dog.
It's fine.
So I again said, let's go different. And that's where we at, vampires, because everyone's like, wow, vampires, what happened? I said, well, you got to watch what happens in the beginning. So that's that. Yeah, I appreciate, again, I appreciate the fact that you, like I said, seeing the first one and the whole science and the whole, because there was a little bit element of science fiction there, not necessarily all the way, but there is something there.
I like the combination that you did. Like, I love that it's not a zombie apocalypse. That you did bring in, like, it's a virus, just like AIDS, and we are aware that people have it. We're gonna and then historically, people freaked out whenever people had AIDS and didn't want anything to do with them. And so I definitely see that there. I also love the theme that I saw, especially towards the end, where it's talking about. It's essentially the medical system that we live in, at least here in the United States, where, yeah, we're going to study this, we're going to make medication off of it, but we're not going to cure it because there's no money in that. And we don't care about you as a patient, we care about how much money we can make off of you. And that theme was there, and it was so, rough watching.
Yes, that scene was, that was actually the sit-down scene with Mr. Yoshida.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just given that name, that's why again the third chapter will be in Tokyo, and that's because of Mr. Yoshida. So that scene was the hardest scene to shoot in the whole film production. It was just, I think we had 10 people or 11 people in that location, which was really difficult. But it was the most important scene in the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Loved it. Now, my question is, and I love that you did this, I love that you brought magic into it, that you have Angela the Witch in it. And because it harkens back to the origins of zombies, or zombies weren't originally science and viruses, they were witchcraft.
Yeah.
And then you bring Angela in. I love her. Yes, I love that she's in the sequel. Yes, give me more Angela. I wanted more Angela in the first movie. I'm stoked that she's in the sequel.
Yes. So Angela, now we have Lynn Lowry. She's going to be playing now we're going to see her, in her domain where she's at now. And it's interesting that you say that, because there is a scene about how she talks about zombies, and again, I don't want to give it all up, but there is that part that you're talking about, how zombies is like witchcraft, and she's there's a scene in the film that she's going to be teasing Aaron, they're much my army than your army, so this is it's a cool scene going on in the film that we have in the script, and it's I can't wait, because it's funny that, again, that you mentioned that, because there is a scene above the witch discussing that to Aaron.
Love it. It's okay if you're no spoilers, but do we find out what happened to Rachel?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited. I love her. I love Rachel. She was awesome.
We do find out what happens. Because the story rushes from the the film is going to start from it starts from how part one ended. Mm-hmm. And the film rushes through the whole thing, and I know it's a big mystery, because the very end, we left sort of cliff, a
little bit cliffhanger, yeah.
And let me tell you, we had about 3 different versions that we were thinking about going with the Zombie with a Shotgun, because we shot various different takes on ending to see, but the way we went was the best way. We just left it as a cliffhanger.
Well, I'm stoked. I'm glad that we at least find out what happened to her because she was fabulous. The final girl energy in her was just amazing. I loved it.
Yes,
Uh,
that's 100%.
so you said that like you were inspired by the AIDS epidemic, but were there any like horror movies or books or games that heavily inspired Zombie with a Shotgun?
Uh, as in films, I mean, like I wanted to bring in like a lot of like especially in the web series. I don't know if you see it. I wanted to paint it like a little bit of part one has a more of a science fiction feel to it. I don't know if you have seen it. I actually put it together into one short for 20 minutes. You can watch it.
Yeah, I've seen the short. I've seen the short.
Yeah,
So I
so
didn't know if
I
that was
got it.
all of it or not.
Aliens was one of my biggest inspiration from it, from James Cameron Aliens, and I wanted
Yeah.
there's like an Aliens and sort of like a Terminator kind of feel to it because you could see like Aaron has the shotgun and he has that kind of look and feel with it. So I felt like very inspired by those that type of science fiction action films, and also with the whole lighting and stuff. I wanted to bring that. The second one, well, I say second one, the feature, we wanted to do a more of a noir style of filmmaking, which you see, and that was just we wanted to go like more of a science fiction kind of feel with it, but again, we went with that because also for lighting and stuff like that. We wanted to make it look kind of like a me and the DP talked, and he was like, "Let's make it kind of like this, sort of like a detective kind of like look story of like trying to figure out who the people are, like an old sort of like noir kind of look film." So we looked at a lot of stuff that was like inspiring, but we looked at everything. We looked at a lot of stuff of films, but I would say a lot of James Cameron and Ridley Scott's work we looked
Yeah.
at.
I love
Not
that.
saying that it looks like it, but we were inspired by a lot by it. And I love the way, so when the film was shot, a lot of things changed since then, right? So the film was released in 2019. We shot it like 2000 and I don't know, 16, 17, 18, something around that. And the 19 was released, something in that kind of ballpark was around. Again, it took us like 3 years to almost raise the money, which is a lot of work. And that's what's going to happen probably with this film. But we're really hoping that we won't. As if things look good, we think we can have it financed by the end of the year. But let's fingers crossed on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at the film, that was a look that a lot of independent films were looking like. And fast forward, with the whole sort of like, I think COVID played a lot of part of what we use or what was shown on TV. So you only had like the big production houses working, and it left all the indie artists like us out. We didn't have really a big voice. Yes, we did have like, we had the streaming, we had all, YouTube. We could have done all that stuff and everything, but as like we're talking about the masses, we didn't have a big stage like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and there was no theaters open. So we were all forced to watch these films that all look the same because they're the same production team, right? They go to one film to the other next film. So years later, I've noticed I'm getting people like saying, "Oh my God, how did you shoot this? Why does this movie look so like different?" And I was like, everything changed. Even the cameras changed. Everything changed. And now, like I said, when we shot it, a lot of films were looking like our film, especially indie art filmmakers, right?
Right.
Now, there's no look like that. So when people look back at Zombie with a Shotgun, I'm starting to like see that people are appreciating it more than when it first came out. I don't even know why we get to this topic. I forgot how it just.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was talking about inspiration, and then you were getting into
yes. So that was like sort of like the inspiration we had. It was shot in New York City. It was shot basically in my apartment. A lot of it, not the crazy scene, but like the bedroom scene. That was actually my apartment. So we shot in
that's
Miami.
awesome.
We wanted to make it grungy and have the noir feel of New York City.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, and we were excited because there's not a lot of zombie films that are shot in New York City, and we were able to do one.
I love that. So I watched the movie and then I watched the compilation of the web series that you did.
Yes.
And I noticed the different vibe because I did notice that the movie is very film noir. It almost feels like film noir mafia movie.
Yeah.
And
That's so
then
cool.
I switched over to the web series, and the first thing I told my friend whenever I was watching it, and I was texting her, and I was like, "Somebody's seen a lot of Terminator because this is the vibe." And as soon as you said that, I was like, "Ah, I got it."
Yeah. That's dope that you got it. Yes, that's funny.
I'm a huge Terminator. Terminator 2
Yeah.
is like one of the best movies ever, so I love it.
Listen, you're not the only one. I think what's his name? Oh my God, the guy who's considered the one of the greatest screenwriter teachers that he wrote. Like everyone reads his book. He has that movie as he considers that movie to be in a perfect film. That one and Chinatown and another one. Yeah.
Yeah, it hits the beats. It's a good movie.
Yeah. He considers it a
But yeah, I
perfect film.
definitely felt that vibe watching the web. Like it's the angles, I think, the lighting too, but definitely the angles of watching Aaron walk forward with a gun and like his stance and like that was the vibe.
And I think a lot of it had to do is that I lit all those episodes. That was my lighting because I came from a background of photography and DP, and I lit a lot of this the all of it. I basically I mean obviously I did have help, but the whole first to fifth was all my lighting scheme that I wanted for the film. And so of course when we did the feature, I can't do it. You can't do everything.
Right, you gotta let it go.
I had to let it go, and I'm like, let's just let this go because I remember looking, I'm like, no, do it. I was like, nah, let's just do it that way. So yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, like it definitely. I'm happy that it's that you were able to pick that up, and we talk about inspiration, then you do see it in the projects.
I love it. I also love that. Like, okay, you're talking about having to let things go. I briefly went into film in college, and that was like the one thing that I found that a lot of writer-directors had a problem with is letting stuff go and letting people do their thing. So I appreciate that because it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I always say that they should teach a class on delegation because that's a skill that we just don't have.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So what is your background in movie creation and all that?
It's like how I started getting into it.
Yeah.
So it has to always the story that I always have is that a lot of my biggest inspiration is definitely living in New York City. I was born and raised there, and seeing all the amazing stuff that going to the movies. So what happened is I was raised with three boys, 3 girls in the house. I was the youngest. And it was like a Brady Bunch kind of thing going on there. And they were basically my mom would go to work and she would like say, okay, tell my aunt who raised me to take us to the movie theater because it was the cheapest thing to do in the 80s. And we would go to the movie theaters every weekend. I mean, I can tell you I practically saw every single freaking like horror action film from the 80s, and you tell me, I'm like, I saw that theater. I could tell you where I was at and everything. So a lot of the inspiration started from just going to the movies every day, so every weekend. So every time we would watch a film, me and my brother and my cousin would go home and we will build the sets. Like for example, let's say we saw like Indiana Jones, we would come home and we would like dress up the characters and like do like these stupid sets with boxes and stuff right there. But my brother and my cousin were older than me, so what they used to tell me was, "You'll be the camera guy." So they made a camera box, fake cardboard box. And the reason why is because they felt I was so annoying because I was the youngest. I was a little kid. They didn't want me to be part of their projects. So I had to be the so-called camera guy, director guy, and I had the camera. So every time we would do it, I would move around the camera. All right, guys, go there, go there. Until like years went by, they were like, as a gift, they bought me a high eight, like my first high eight, like camcorder camera as a gift, and it was sort of like a joke, kind of like, here's your gift, and now you got a real camera. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty, it's a pretty like cute story, but you would never, I would never, even back then, I didn't think that filmmaking would be, I would be, it just was like something. I was like, oh shit, I got this camera. So I started doing. Unfortunately, my brother and my cousin moved out the house because they got older, and I was left at home. And then I had my friends, and then we would make these little short skits and films with my camera, and started going to high school. And I forgot about filmmaking. I was like, oh man, forget about cameras and everything. And then I would say it was probably junior year classes. Just the school was crowded, and they had to put people in classes, and they put me in filmmaking. And I didn't want to do it because I was like, oh, I didn't ask for this. And they're like, oh, no, just do it. You have no choice.
Right.
And it's funny how things happen, right? So I was like, go in it. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll go in it. So it started off as being the history of filmmaking and learning about movies and making movies. And then I'm like, everything clicked of all the movies that I've been watching with my family, going to the weekends, watching all these, everything. Because, my brothers were older, my cousins, they made me force all these movies. I watched tons and tons and tons and tons of movies with my family. And I'm telling you, it was a weekend thing going to the movies and then coming home, watching more movies. I had my cousin that was into science fiction. My dad was into westerns, and my mom's into love stories. It was just crazy. So everything started click, and then I had this great teacher that basically taught about what filmmaking is about. It's not, the storytelling, the shots that tell the story. And then I was like, wow, I was always meant to do this. And that's from there I went out to, I went to college. So it's interesting. So as soon as I left high school, I wanted to be a DP. So I went to take photography. I did street photography, fashion photography. I went to FIT, Institute of Technology, to learn fashion photography, learn about lighting, stuff like that. And I went to Queensboro to learn street photography. And I was like, okay, what's my next step and everything? Then I took courses, and believe it or not, NYFA, I was like probably the second, third year that it opened. I did it, and I did that short film, black and white film that was like my calling card. And then I started taking courses of continuing education in NYU because I wanted to go into the film program there. And there is where I stopped. I felt like I learned everything about filmmaking because of the courses I was taking. Then I was a little bit crazy. I wanted to learn about animation. So I did courses in School of Visual Arts, and I was like, this is enough. I've taken all the courses. I'm able to make films. By that time, I had my own 16 millimeter camera, my own Super 16 millimeter camera, my 8 millimeter. I had everything. So I was making movies. I was making tons of movies when I was younger. And I have so many films that I have that I've never even put together because a lot of it's on film. But that's my background. That's basically, I went off again, going down memory lane.
I love it. No, feel free. Yeah. That I love hearing about that, like why movies are important to you. And so many people, when I talk to them about it, people who are really into movies, it's about their childhood.
Yeah.
One way or another, it all comes back to when we were kids and when we watched movies, or we saw a movie that hit us the right way, or movies were where we went to when we needed something. So yeah, I love it. I think that's fabulous, and it makes me feel a little bit better about the fact that my kid takes over my living room and acts out all of the movies he's seen with cardboard boxes now.
Yeah. And even when we had there was a lot of kung fu movies that used to come in the 80s and
Yeah.
on Saturdays, and we used to dress up. We used to buy like the kung fu shoes and the outfits, and we used to do a kung fu movie. It was just crazy. It was, but
I
it
love
just
it.
how those times was just like we had no choice because we didn't have social media, we didn't have internet, we didn't
Yeah.
have like so we had that's what we would do. But
Yeah.
it brought me back to memory lane.
I love it. That's fabulous. Have you what did your cousins who bought you the camera? Right, it was your cousins or was it your
It was
brother?
basically a family. It was
Okay.
my the whole family was able to. Basically, it was my mom that bought everyone's idea to say, "Hey, let's get this guy a camera," because the
Yeah.
cameras, believe it or not, was still sort of expensive back then.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were really expensive. I remember it wasn't cheap. Even now, I remember even if it still would be expensive now, but
Yeah.
that was their idea to get me the camera.
So now you're a filmmaker, and that has to have been a conversation, right? Like, yeah, we got you your first camera, and look at you now.
Yeah, oh yes, that's like campfire stories. It's funny because I remember the years of doing filmmaking. I was doing it, and then we got together, and then they will laugh, and we'll bring it once in a while. We'll get together and like, how is that so funny? And I'm like, yeah, I know that is funny. We bring up and because we did so many dumb things, we'll bring back dumb things like how they used to always like. So what they would do is like I was bullied like with because I was the youngest one. So eventually
Yeah.
they would bring me in the movie and beat me up. Like it was so that was always the joke, and then they end me cry all the time. So like say we're doing a kung fu movie and I'm the camera guy. So they'll do their kung fu movie and then they're between themselves. They're like, when we're finished, let's get him and then start like beating him up. So they would do that all the time. So it was so silly, and I would. So I remember always running around, but yeah, again, being the youngest wasn't the best.
Right. No, I get that. I'm an only child, so I have no idea what that would be like,
Yeah,
but I can imagine that it's not the best.
that's not the best.
Um, so, so Zombie with a Shotgun 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
What are you, just so fucking excited about sharing with people with this? Like, what's the first thing you're like, I just want to make sure people know this?
Oh, I tell people that I think there are things about the zombie and vampire world that's put together in a world that we've seen before. And I tell people that they're both undead. Vampires are dead and zombies are dead. And here we have this zombie that acts and thinks and is basically it's a vampire. He is a vampire. It's just he doesn't have teeth to suck on everything. So I tell people that this is going to be a unique sort of like film where we're going to see this two worlds collide and what they both have to share with each other, their thoughts. So I think that's a cool thing that I like to tell people about that. There's things that, we haven't seen in cinema that I believe I haven't seen in cinema. And I believe that I want to take that out there and basically tell people, a vampire and a zombie, they're in the same room and they both can fight. And they both fallen for the same woman. So there you go.
Wow. Oh man, dropping that. It's a love triangle. Damn.
Yeah, that was a little too much, but you got to tell that one. That one's okay. So
I'm excited. I'm really excited about this. So people who are listening, Zombie with a Shotgun is out. I will drop links below where they can go watch it. And I will also drop the Indiegogo link so you can go and help support the sequel that obviously I now need to see, so everybody needs to go support it.
Say it again. I'm sorry. Say it again.
That I now desperately need to see, so everybody needs to go support it for sure. And I will put all those links below.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, it's it could take us a year, 2 years. That's how indie filmmaking is.
Yeah.
But I think this one is a little bit because there is a track, record going on. But it seems like every week there are people that, like, when I did the first one, it wasn't as much, but now it's like a lot of people are like approaching the producers. And like before, I didn't even have producers. I had like one producer, but now right now we have 4 producers, and
Wow.
and they've worked in the industry. It's not like, guys, so they are out there getting calls, getting emails, and they're, we meet once a week. We meet and we talk, and then it's starting to get closer and closer. But keep my fingers crossed. But again, if things happen, and then we'll continue to keep on doing and raise the monies for as long as it takes. Again, it took us almost 3 years to do the first one, and if it has to take 3 years to do the second one, we'll do it. Time flies, and it happens. I can't listen. I think back about it, and it's like, look, 2012. I can't even believe how time like goes by,
Right.
and especially with the whole COVID. I don't think and I was just thrilled that it came. There was still interest of people wanting to do it, and thank people that believed in it and still believed in it. Because again, I felt like it was over. Don't get me wrong. I had always in the back of my mind that, I don't know. I was like, oh man, was it the right time, or like, what do we But there's people that, like I said, just came along and everyone just said, hey, let's just do it.
It's such a unique film. I feel like you can tell people how unique this film is, but until they go and watch it, I don't even
I agree with you, and I believe like more and more people are like, again, I think the second one needs to be done to basically break that ice among people not understanding that that this zombie can really think for himself. And I think there's something there that people, you wouldn't believe how many people told me they were so upset about me having the film. I was shocked. I really was shocked of how many people was like, that's so like silly, that makes no sense. And I'm like, yep, all the stuff, like, oh, like, zombie can't do that, all that stuff. It was silly.
It's cool that you're creating such an emotional response in people, though, because I mean, at least that means you're doing something really amazing to get such an emotional response.
Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, right, they would say that's art, right? That you can, if you get like a reaction to somebody, that's like art, right? And yeah, I mean, I've gotten people just say the most dumbest things to me, like, like, oh, I watched the first 10 minutes of your film and it's horrible, and I'd be like, well, I was like, that makes no sense.
You're missing the good shit, man.
I tell them, look, I respect your opinion, but your valid does not count because you did not watch the whole film to even give an opinion like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, he's like, first of all, the zombie doesn't make sense. There's no, I was waiting for zombies. There's no zombies. So it was like, oh man, yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, there is one. That's why it's called Zombie with a Shotgun. There is one zombie with a shotgun. Yeah. I mean, you got 2 other zombies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, well, yeah, but that's but I'm cool with that. I mean, everyone has their own sort of opinion, and I respect that. Everyone has their own things, but I think, like, again, if getting the second film out will definitely break that ice of like, okay, I get what this guy is trying to do.
Right.
So there we go.
I love it. And then now I'm excited about a third one, because now that I didn't know this was going to be a 3-part
There's a 3-part
situation.
The one is in
my gosh,
New York City. Second one, we're shooting in West Virginia in the backwoods of rural America.
I love it.
And the third one is Tokyo, because he needs to go get Mr. Yoshida. And
well, now I know that this is in West. That gives me all kinds of other questions. So why West Virginia? Like, I'm from Appalachia, so I of course it's in West Virginia. But why did you pick West Virginia?
West Virginia was basically sold on me. So Honestly, truth, it was one of the producers. One of the producers is well known, and he lives in West Virginia. And so I told him, "Hey, we're going to shoot in New York." And he's like, "I don't know why we got to shoot in New York. You know, New York is hard." And I go, "Yeah, it's difficult and everything." And I said, "We're not going to shoot in the city. Let's go upstate. You know, upstate is a lot of like cabins out there and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's great and everything." So, he started telling me, "Yeah, but there's more tax incentives here than New York." And I was like, "Oh, really?" So, so he started buying the whole idea, and then he started showing me pictures and everything, and then he started telling me how it would be more easier to shoot in West Virginia, where in New York there's a lot of like, you know, barriers to go,
Mm-hmm.
which is true. New York is really hard to like get permits, stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So he was showing me these pictures and images of these woods and cabins and everything, and I'm like, you know what? I think that would be pretty cool. I think it would be really cool to shoot West Virginia because the film takes place in the woods, where the witch's lair is at. And I think that's perfect. Where would a witch's lair be? West Virginia sounds the perfect place for me.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was like
As an
that.
Appalachian person, like, yes, it is.
Yeah, and I was
I
like,
love it.
there's vampires there too, so I'm like, let's do it. So he sold me the whole idea, and then looking at a lot of like images and stuff like that, and and then I just got to started now picturing more of the story there, and I bought into it, and I like it. I like the whole idea of it being shot in West Virginia.
I
Um,
love that.
it'd
That's
be so cool.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, tell him thank you because yeah, we need more movies set down in these
Yes, yes,
parts.
yes. The actual the commission of Oh, so you're from West? No, what state you're in?
I was born in Eastern Kentucky, and then
Okay.
I live in Tennessee. But I've been to West Virginia and Virginia and all those places, and
Yeah.
that's where I set most of my work, my
What
stories, and a lot of my games and stuff is in there.
Nice. One of the producers is from Knox, Tennessee. Knox, Tennessee.
Knoxville,
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 Tennessee. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. One of the producers is from there. We were
yeah.
thinking about Tennessee also. We were actually
Tennessee's
thinking,
great.
yeah, but he sold us on the whole tax incentives and everything like that going on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I think it's awesome. The film commission, West Virginia Film Commission board, they already know the film being there, and they are supporting the film 100%. So that's cool.
Love it. That's fabulous. That's
Yeah.
even more reason for me to be super excited about this.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. Where can people find you and your internet and that good stuff other than Zombie Shotgun? Want to find your good shit? Where is it at?
Yeah, I have a lot of projects out there. I tell people if they are interested in watching the feature film Zombie with a Shotgun, it is on Tubi. It's also on Amazon. And you can find it also places on YouTube where they do show it free, but I think the best place will be Tubi. Yeah, that's the best place because Amazon, I'm not 100% sure because Amazon before was charging, and then I have no control on that,
Yeah.
And then Amazon took it out, and then they put it on their other freebie stage. And I don't know if you have to be a member to go to Amazon to get that because I am a member of Amazon, but I don't know anything about that. So I tell people go to Tubi, you watch it, But it's everywhere basically, but Tubi's the best place to go watch it. The short though can be seen in again Amazon, but it's still I think Amazon is charging. Again, I don't understand because
I watched it on. I'll put the link. I'll grab it where I watched it because I watched it for free.
You can watch the short in Plex TV.
Yeah, that's where it was.
The feature you can watch in Tubi. We're all over Zombie with a Shotgun on every single platform, from Twitter, Instagram, from YouTube, from Facebook. You just put search Zombie with a Shotgun and it'll come up on all those platforms. If people want to reach me and ask me a question or even chit chat, I'm always cool with that. I'm always on Instagram and Twitter. Those are my two main places. We also have a Zombie with a Shotgun 2 group page that you could enter. You could talk to producers there, and you could talk to me there also. So I also have my own personal Twitter and Instagram, which is Hilton Ariel Ruiz, and they're also on that every day, and people can follow me. I follow them back. If I don't, just give me time. I always follow everybody back, and you can ask me questions in there. Also, when you watch the films, like places like Tubi, under my name, you'll see other films. Like I do have a 20-minute short horror film there. Then my new feature that I released like 3 months ago, which is an anthology of horror films, 8 short films, and one called 6666. And Plex also has some of my drama projects, a 20-minute drama project and documentary. Yeah, so you can find all my work in platforms, or you can even search and you can find for Zymer Shotgun. That's where you find.